Good night and welcome again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the LimeVibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yori Araman Kemp from Nassau, Bahamas, the exalted one, as they say. And I'm going to be joined by Kimberly Ramkalawan a bit later on. She's having some technical difficulties on her end. So I'm just going to chat to you for a little while before we get right into our show. Okay, I've been having a good day today so far. It's a Friday. Thank God for Friday, TGIF. And, we're just looking forward to the weekend. And this Saturday is going to come up. It's going to be a wonderful, this is Super Bowl Sunday, actually. This is the Super Bowl weekend. So I know you guys have your Super Bowl parties planned. For those of you who watch gridiron football in America, it's going to be the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not sure who I have in that one. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I haven't watched a single football game all season. But I'm going to watch the Super Bowl this Sunday, because that's what we do, congregate with friends, meet with friends, and go out and have a good time. Me personally, I don't drink. I'm sober, but I just like to go out and meet with people and just like to congregate with people, have a good lime time, So yeah, I'm going to enjoy myself this Sunday after I go to church, of course. I'm going to go and worship. Yes, I'm a good church boy. And then I'm going to go over and see if I could, do a few recordings for the LimeVibe recordings. And then around 6 o'clock, I'll make my way to the Super Bowl party. And let's see what's going on with that. But that's how I'm situated for this weekend. So other than that, I'm going to be just relaxing on a Saturday, I have some things to touch up with the LimeVibe audio stream and presentation on Saturday. So I'm going to focus on that. I want to have like a running show title at the bottom as well. So I'm going to be working on that all Saturday. So let's see how we take it from there. Let's see how productive I can be this weekend. Okay, that's my plan. Productive and also have time for a bit of fun. So other than that, I'm in a good mood. I'm cheered up. I'm lively. I'm happy. And I'm going to have a good time this evening. So we have a lot of things to talk about this evening. Okay, we have a lot of things we can jump right into. Some new crime statistics came out about the Caribbean. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Inside Crime. It's a crime reporting agency in Central America. I'm not sure exactly which country they're located in Central America, but they've been calculating all of the recent crime statistics that happened in the Central America. And right now, they've also started to, look at and investigate the crime going around the Caribbean. And so over this past week, over the last 2 or 3 days, they've published their their homicide roundup for the Caribbean and Central America and Latin America. And you'll be surprised who's the number one leading country in murders per capita in the region. It's the Turks and Caicos Island. It's a British protectorate right on the southern border of the Bahamas. It used to be the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands, but when the Bahamas became independent, they decided to remain with the United Kingdom. And so they're still a protectorate, an overseas protectorate of the United Kingdom, but they have a 77.6% to 100 per 100,000 people murder rate out of a population of 45,000 people. So every 100,000 people, they kill 77. Wow. That's amazing. Usually Jamaica would be on top. And actually Jamaica is the second highest with 59.2 per 100,000 out of a population of about 2.8 million people. But they say the crime wave in Turks and Caicos, they'd say it's due to the gangs that are coming in from Jamaica. They're saying that the Jamaican gangs are trying to eliminate all the local gangs in the Turks and Caicos. And so, it's of course, drugs and guns are at the bottom of it, but mainly drugs. Well, drugs don't kill people, guns kill people really, but the drugs are bringing in the guns, as you know. So that's what we have now. The Caribbean murder rate is the number one country is the Turks and Caicos. And that should be alarming to anybody, because the Turks and Caicos really is a peaceful nation. It's a small, tiny nation. It's only about 45,000 people, but they have the highest murder rate. Reading an excerpt from the Inside Crime report, they say, and I quote, "A wave of violence came to the small Turks and Caicos Islands in 2022, according to official government statistics. While 35 murders may seem like a little cause for concern, it represents an 150% jump in murders compared to the 14 murders they've seen in 2021 in a country with just over 45,000 people. Wow. They said, going further, they said many of the homicides were concentrated in the last third of the year, with 21 killings happening between September 3rd and November 8th, culminating in a triple murder on November 1. Many shootings occurred on the 5 Keys and dockyard areas of Providenciales. Providenciales is is one of the islands there, and the country's most populated island, actually. Say, while motives for the spike in violence remain unclear, the UK appointed head of state, Governor Nigel Dakin, said in an Instagram post that Jamaican gangs are attempting to remove all criminal competition in the territory using unprecedented levels of targeted violence. Wow. They're blaming Jamaican gangs for their crime wave. He blamed the island's proximity to unstable neighbors. Who are these unstable neighbors? Awash with guns and drugs. Wow. That's kind of racist, I think, Governor Dakin. Who are these unstable neighbors? You know, where criminals seemingly are able to move freely throughout the region. Wow. I just read that in its totality. He said, these unstable neighbors awash with guns and drugs. That sounds pretty harsh to Governor Dakin. So what about the crime wave in your country? What about the officials in your country in the Turks and Caicos? What about those criminal elements in your country? Because, you know, the guns didn't walk up in the Turks and Caicos by itself, and someone had to request them. So what's going on in the Turks and Caicos? So don't try to shift the blame on other countries, because unstable neighbors can mean the Bahamas, because we're right next door to you. You know, we're right up north from the border, so that could mean the Bahamas. So what are you trying to say? But he already blamed Jamaica, you know, and I guess it's easy to point to figure out Jamaica because they have like historically one of the highest murder rates in the Caribbean. But still, though, you know, I find it a bit racist. That's just my take. I find it a bit racist, man. And of course, they had the second spot was Jamaica with 52.9 per 100,000. So for the first time in 3 years, the Caribbean island did not, they're talking about Jamaica now. For the first time in 3 years, the Caribbean island did not top the regional murder rate charts. Unfortunately, this has less to do with success in stamping out Jamaica's own violence and more to do with appalling high rates witnessed elsewhere in the Caribbean. Talking about the Turks and Caicos. Wow. The Jamaican Constabulary Force reported 1,498 murders in 2022, more than 24 than previous year. This puts Jamaica's homicide rate at nearly 53 per 100,000, a high not seen since 2017. So it's getting worse in Jamaica again. And I think the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Davis, when he went to Washington, D.C. on his last trip, he spoke to Vice President Kamala Harris, and he said that, you know, we have to do something with the wave of guns that are coming in from America. And, you know, no country in the Caribbean makes guns. And so they either come from the United States or from Europe. And more often than not, they come from the United States. They are American guns because they're right there. Why are Americans trying to kill us? Why do they think that we need freedoms with guns? You know, why do they think we need a cache of weapons in the Caribbean? We're a peaceful set of islands, relatively speaking. There's no threat of any uprising here. There's no need for a Second Amendment, even, I think, the way they have it inside the United States. There's no reason for guns to be in the Caribbean, aside from monitoring drugs. But other than that, I mean, this mentality, this right to bear arms, this Second Amendment freedom that some American citizens seem to covet and love with all their heart and their soul, they seem to think everybody else wants that same living existence. They think everyone else wants to have that kind of existence with them. I mean, yeah, you should be able to defend yourself, but my goodness, we're not in love with guns. I could care less for a gun, you know? I mean, if I have one, I'll have one, but I could care less for a gun. It doesn't cross my mind that the government is going to come in and try to override me. I live in a peaceful state. There's no reason for me to think that the government is going to one day, you know, send out its military forces and try to eliminate me or try to, you know, oppress me. I don't think about that at all, actually. So this mentality that American citizens have with this Second Amendment is just absolutely absurd. And man, my goodness. But then again, you know, if that's the culture they've been born with, you can't really take it away from them. I think former President Barack Obama had said that once you get Americans with their religion and their guns, there's nothing much you can do with them. I mean, I'm just paraphrasing. He didn't say that exactly like that, but you know, they say Americans cling to their religion and their guns. And I think the third rail on that is they cling to their abortion and their rights, their reproductive rights, if you want to add women's rights into it. But you know, at the end of the day, it's all about the drugs, okay? If American citizens did not have a craving and a hunger for illicit drugs, cocaine and methamphetamines and meth, and now fentanyl now. There wouldn't be this wave of guns and violence in the Caribbean where we have to fight with each other to get those drugs to the United States. Okay, so the question must be, the wider question must be now, why are Americans, and to some extent Europeans and Canadians, why do they feel the need to medicate themselves from their existence? They are in relatively rich and wealthy countries. They should be happy. Why do they feel the need to medicate themselves out of existence? It's absolutely mind-boggling to me. Anybody from my position would kill to be in the United States right now. We're soaking up all the benefits, reaping all the rewards that American citizens just seem to take for granted. And they know they're in a country that has abounding wealth and abounding opportunities, but they just seem to want to be able to destroy it. They want to be able to destroy it on every given turn. And it's sad. It's sad to see them disintegrate like this. You know, it's sad to see them just totally just disintegrate. And their citizenry are sick. They are sick. They are unhealthy people. You know, they are unhealthy people. If you have to medicate yourself to the point where you need drugs on a consistent basis, whether it's illicit narcotics or whether it's prescription pills, something is wrong with the society. And we have to take a deeper look. And American psychologists and political scientists, they need to dig into the social scientists, need to dig into this a bit deeper to try to extrapolate exactly what's causing this negative feeling, this pall to fall over the United States, where people just feel the need to want to banish themselves from existence. You know, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about the psychology of a drug user. And they said that once someone has overdosed from a particular drug, that causes the demand for the drug to go up even more. I said, why would that be so? Why would, you know, people want to be, why would people want to kill themselves? They say they don't want to kill themselves. They just want the idea of bringing themselves as close to death as humanly possible and then bringing themselves back. I said, wow. He said, that's the psychology of a drug addict. They want to bring themselves to the edge, to the point where it's near death and they can bring themselves back. That's their psychology, you know? And it's wild, man. I've never had that kind of addiction before. And I don't even know how to begin to appreciate that. But I'll tell you something, though, that we have other addictions as well. And I wouldn't share with you on my podcast, but I can understand why it's hard to lick some addictions, because they can really take over your life and control your every waking moment and thought. And I appreciate that. But that's why social scientists and psychologists, they need to dig into this to try to find out exactly how we can make American citizens feel better about themselves. You know, look at yourself and enjoy something. Go out and enjoy the Mount Rushmore. Go out and enjoy Niagara Falls. You know, go out and enjoy the Grand Canyon. Go out and enjoy Miami Beach or one of the California beaches. You know, enjoy America. Enjoy life. But in addition to that, though, look at the God who created you. You know, try to see the beauty he's given you and the benefits and the grace he's given you, by giving you a stable country where leaders aren't particularly that bad. You know, I could point you to at least 10 leaders around this particular region that are 100 times worse than President Joe Biden, and you wouldn't want to be in those countries. So please appreciate America, because we need a strong America. The Caribbean needs a strong America. We need an America that's going to stand up. Kim, are you coming back with us now? Are you there, Kim? I guess not. Okay, give a while more. We need a strong America. The world needs a strong America. Without any question, we need a strong America. Because when we look at the options in Russia, and China, and even in Europe, we don't want to be under their rule or under their hegemony. All right. We have grown accustomed to America being strong and vibrant. We have grown accustomed to the leadership and the freedoms that they have espoused on the world. And yes, they can be overbearing, but when you look at the alternatives, when you look at the other options, when you look at China, and when you look at Russia, who would you want to be in charge of the world? Would you want them, or would you like the United States? Yes, they have some issues. Yes, they've been ruled to a large degree, but they've turned the corner. And like I said, there are 100 times worse people out there other than your presidency and President Joe Biden, or any other president that's been in America for the past, I would say, 50, 60 years or so. So please try to keep your country stable. And the citizens need to come together with this. I know they're healing right now, and there's some other issues in America as well. The police can't seem to keep their hands off of people. You know, that Ty and Nichols video was absolutely sickening. And I thought George Floyd was sickening, but that Ty Nichols video was absolutely sickening. And what's even more sickening, concerning, is that it's other Black police officers that did it to Ty Nichols. Okay, I'm sorry I'm on a rant, and sometimes I get on a rant every now and then. And this is why I need Kim to come in and moderate me every now and then, because I can get on a rant. Because just when you thought it was racism, now it flips that conversation on its head right now, because it makes us look at the other police involved altercation that ended in a fatality for the victim, and it makes us look at it in another view. Maybe it wasn't just all racism, like how they were saying. Maybe it was just an overbearing police officer that just went out of control. So we've been having a racial debate on the police versus the urban cities in America, when we probably were having a debate on power, the power structure in the United States, and the sickening people have. And then it speaks to another sickness in America, you know? So we need to really talk about these issues and get to the root of these issues. It may not be racism at all, you know? Because to be honest with you, I don't know if you guys have heard of the Stanford experiment, okay? It was an experiment where this psychologist, I forgot his name, he set up an experiment where he took a group of people and he split them up in between prison officers and prison inmates. And he just noticed, after they've been split up after a while, that the prison officers became more and more overbearing. Even though it was a fake and a mock experiment, they became more and more overbearing, while the prisoners became more and more hostile. And it ended up in the prison officers becoming more and more overbearing and becoming more and more cruel to the prisoners, because they had power. They thought they had power over these people. Even though it was a fake trial and it was a mock study, they felt they had power. So that's something that could be added into this debate. You know, that is something we should add into that debate, because it may not be racism. Okay, and I really hate to see America tear itself apart with racism, because yes, you have some Ku Klux Klan members. Yes. Okay, that's fair, right? There may be a twinge of racism, but not all of the cases are racism. Just like not all of the cases are sexist either, or the Me Too movement. You know, we need to have a wide and varied discussion on some of the issues that happen with America. Because I'm talking about the racial issue in particular in America, because as we went from guns and drugs, we went to the racial issue. When you look at South Florida in particular, that's a huge hotbed for Caribbean people. On any given day, a man of a Bahamian descent, Jamaican descent, Barbadian descent, Trinidadian descent, who maybe just be going to school, could end up in the wrong side, on the wrong side of the law, or in the face of the wrong police officer, and bam, that's a problem. Okay? On any given day in South Florida, that could happen to Caribbean youth. And I don't want to see any of our people get hurt under any circumstance whatsoever. So that's a part of this conversation. So believe me, I believe that, you know, in order for the Caribbean to be more vibrant, we need a strong America, because we need them and their tourist dollars and their investment, and we need them to be strong. And without them, it's a symbiotic relationship. We need them and they need us, okay? They need to come on their vacations every now and then. They need to come and enjoy the sunshine and sea and our peaceful countries. So please, let's have a better discussion on some of these issues that are happening around our region. So with that being said, that's my rant. My early rant, and I have nothing else to do this evening. After the show is over, I'm just going to relax myself and watch some of my self-help videos. I typically, I'm a boring fella. I typically have nothing to do on the weekends. I'm just here. I'm glad I have this podcast so I can talk to yous. I can talk to yous people, and I can tell you how I feel about what's going on. Okay, and believe it, it's a pleasure for me sitting here with you and enjoying these moments with you, these Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights with you guys. It's been a cathartic for me. It's been a therapy for me to be able to sit here with you guys and share my views and be able to communicate with you on a wider level and share what I feel about what's going on with the Caribbean and liming with you guys. All right. Let me get a drink of water first. 1 second. This is water, by the way. This isn't anything to drink. I don't drink, actually. Yep, this is my thermos I got from the World Peace Summit, and it was in Incheon, Korea, back in 2020. That was 2018 actually. That was one of my best trips I ever went on in my life. I had a chance to visit South Korea. You know, I've traveled a bit as well, but that was one of my most favorite trips. I met a lot of decent friends over there, man, and people I still talk to this day. Koreans who speak English. Yeah, you'll find that when you travel around the world, you'll find that the English language is the gold standard language. Everyone speaks English, or it wouldn't be long before you find somebody who can speak English. And so it makes traveling as a Caribbean citizen who's been Americanized, to some extent, and who's been anglicized, that it makes traveling for us easy, because we're able to meet someone who'll be able to help us and get us through wherever we are, whatever part of the world we are. So with that, I just want to say, at the end of the day, travel is very important as well. And we want our citizens to be safe. And with that, there we go. So in other news, I've seen that the United States has shot down another unidentified object flying over Alaska. Oh my God, they're coming fast and heavy, aren't they? They're coming fast and furious, aren't they? First, they have the Chinese balloon, and they're going to have to investigate that. And actually, I've read some stuff where the Congress is now asking the Biden administration, why didn't they shoot the balloon down any sooner? So what do you want them to shoot the balloon down over Grandma Maud's house? On Grandpa John's house? They waited till the balloon got to a safe distance away from American citizens and they shot it down. Biden did the right thing, I believe, because he didn't know what was in that balloon. What if they shot it down, had all kinds of chemicals and agents, and you had COVID-32 next? Not COVID-19, you had COVID-120 next. Then you want everyone walking around looking, oh, how did this happen? Why did he shoot the balloon down over citizens? It'd be another conversation. And I know exactly how these stupid people go. You do one thing, they hate it. You do another thing, they hate that too. And there's just no let up. So Biden did the right thing, I believe, when he shot it down over the Atlantic. I'm just glad he did it in a place where it wasn't over the Caribbean. They like to dump on us every now and then. I'm just glad it was in an open sea, in an open area, and they were able to shepherd it over into a vacant part of the Atlantic Ocean where they just was able to just take it down. And the Chinese have some balls, man. So, but with this unidentified object now being shot down over Alaska, they haven't said exactly where this unidentified object has come from, but I'd be interested in hear where that's coming from. What if it's Russia? What if it's North Korea? That should be the showrunner for the night. Is America under attack? Is the United States of America under attack? I don't want to be an alarmist, but it sounds as if like every other week now we're going to have these things coming into the United States where they're not being protected. So is the United States of America under some sort of attack? Is your communication system safe? Because it was, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, the airplanes were grounded. Remember, about 2 weeks ago, the airplanes were grounded and there were no flights going in and out of America for a better half of a morning. And it wasn't sorted until about 1 o'clock that afternoon, and flights were backed up. And they still didn't come to us with an explanation of what actually happened. So God knows what happened. But I know for us, we suffered greatly that day because there were no flights coming into America, coming in from America to the Bahamas. And so that messed up a lot of people's plans. We didn't have any tourists that day, at least for that morning. And so people had to change their itineraries, they had to change their bookings. And it was just chaos for at least a half a day here in the Bahamas. I can assure you, other Caribbean countries who depend on tourism just as much as we do, they were just as much on edge with regard to that. So we don't know, is America under attack? And they don't even know it. They're too busy fighting over abortion rights and guns and the Second Amendment. But, like I think we said this before, Kim, when America sneezes, we catch the cold. And so we can't really avoid them to any great extent. We depend on them for tourism, and for foreign direct investment. So like I said, we need a strong and stable America. So I'll just wait to hear this investigation now on this unidentified object. I was shot down over Alaska. I'm dying to hear what that's about, because God knows what it could be. I just hope it's not anything nefarious, which most likely it is. And the American spy agencies and their surveillance agencies, they're going to keep it under wraps. And they don't want to alarm the American people. They want you to go back to watching Netflix and the Game of Thrones. They want you to go back to watching that and, keeping yourself humble and calm. So you don't have you're not up and down in the middle of the streets and having protests. And that's the wrong time for you to have protests, by the way. You should get behind your leadership when you're under attack like that. But, everyone's so individualistic and they want to get out in the middle of the streets that they just don't care. Oh, it's all about me. What I have to say, my placard. Oh, my placard. And they just outdo themselves every time, man. Like I say, it's sad to see America tear itself apart like this. But in the independent media, we can say that. We can say that. We can get away with that too, because no one pays the bills here aside from me, and so I can say that on my little podcast here. It probably wouldn't go go a great distance anyway, but who knows, But with that being said, back to these crime statistics though, and St. Lucia, after the Turks and Caicos and Jamaica, St. Lucia is at 42.3 per 100,000, with 76 murders for 2022 out of a population of about 179,000 people. Okay, and they don't blame drugs, but they do blame guns. They said there was a Pennsylvania man jailed last March for bringing in 40 guns, 40 weapons, 40 arms into St. Lucia. Wow, what the hell was he doing? So there it is. There you have an American caught red-handed bringing guns into a Caribbean country, and for what? What is he doing? But of course, we could say is drugs. What if those guns were somewhere else? Another part, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, for example, who's been experiencing a crime wave of their own, actually. I never thought I would have seen St. Vincent having a murder every other week, but I'm seeing it right now. I look on my feed, my social media feeds, and every other week there's some murders in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And it's absolutely appalling, man. But if you're going to read these crime statistics, I suggest you go to the website InsideCrime.com, and you can see the murder rates for 2022. They published an entire report. It goes from every country in the Caribbean and Latin America, from the Bahamas to Argentina, from Jamaica to Chile, and all in between. And you could read it right there for yourself. Or you could go to Caribbean Magazine Plus, because we reprint their material as well. They have given us the okay to republish their material. You go on Caribbean Magazine Plus, you can read that crime story, the crime statistics for the 2022. You can see it all there on our website. So you could enjoy that. You can read that in the time being. We also have some other stuff on Caribbean Magazine Plus as well. We've spoken about the recent push for the African Caribbean connection, and that's taking shape. The former Prime Minister, the Honorable P.J. Patterson, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, he's making a serious case now for strengthening these ties. Me particularly, I said this before, that I am not particularly a good fan of this connection with Africa. That's just, I don't think we need to go back to them. I know Kim has a different idea and she thinks differently, and that's fine. And it's just so funny that she's more African than I am. She believes more in the diaspora than I do. And considering that she's Indian descent, but I can give or take them. It doesn't matter to me. I really don't mind. There's another story on Caribbean Magazine Plus from Malcolm Gear. He's the development policy. He's the development director for the Caribbean for the United Kingdom's Foreign Office, and he's talking about climate resilience, and that's been in the news recently. Climate resilience. How do we build stronger resilience in our systems for climate change and for rebounding from climatic events? And he said the three things that we should be taking into consideration is, one, we should devise a plan against things that happen. Okay. Two is that we should arrange for financing ahead of time. That means we should not be reacting to these things. That if you know that the hurricane season is between August and December, that we should have the money in place to make sure that these things go off smoothly. Because at the end of the day, nothing can move without money, and no one's going to do anything with you without money. And we saw it in the Haiti earthquake, even though they didn't have a hurricane. We saw it in the Haiti earthquake in 2010, where everything was shut down. All the banks were closed down and nobody could get any money. There was no money in that country and nobody could get money because all the banks were shut down. Everything was destroyed. And so that was one of the key things that people noticed right after that disaster in the Haiti earthquake in 2010. All the banks were closed. Nobody had access to money. Nobody could have done anything. So you have to arrange financing to ensure that things are not just in place for before the storm, but after the storm, people have access to money and they could get to their wallets. And they could pay for the kind of help and the services that they need. And the third thing was that you had to execute on the plan. So you have to devise a plan You have to arrange the finances to make sure the plan goes smoothly, and you have to execute the plan. And that's where a lot of us fall short. Okay, we talk a good game, we yap a lot, blah 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 blah, like me. We talk all night, but we don't get down to doing the work. We don't get down to brass tacks. Okay, we need to commit to execution. We need to commit to execution. Commit to execution. I heard that from an old professor of mine. He said that we have to commit to action, Yori. We have to commit to action. I laugh at him every time I think about it, but it was so true. Because oftentimes we just sit and we just yap and we talk, but we don't actually commit to putting one step in front of the other and making a good concerted effort to make sure that we do something. You know, I could talk all night, but am I going to do anything? But I can assure you, the LimeVibe podcast did not happen because I sat and I talked it up. I had to go out there and actually have to do something about it. So that's one of the things that we need to really concern ourselves with, right? And there's still a lot to do with the LimeVibe podcast. There's a lot to do with here, man. There's things I want to see happen with this podcast that I want it to be the best podcast in the world, if that could be possible. I want to be bigger than Joe Rogan. Kim and I want to be bigger than Joe Rogan, bigger than Bill Maher, bigger than all the other podcasts out there. And we could do it right from here in the Caribbean. We have the intelligence, we have the entertainment value, and we have the angle, you know. Who doesn't want to find out about the Caribbean? Who doesn't want to know about what's happening in these islands? Who doesn't want to know about our diaspora? Who doesn't want to have our flair and our excitement in their lives? You know, so there's a lot of things we have to consider with this, man. So with that being said, you know, we need to preserve it as well, you know, and crime is not going to endear anybody to us. And we've talked about this ad nauseum, that we've dropped the ball on young Black men in particular in the Caribbean. And it's not just in the Caribbean as well. I was at a forum back in 2008 in the United Kingdom, and there was an African Caribbean forum over there, and there was a guy publishing a book, saving our Black men, saving our Black boys, actually. And, you know, he had the nail around the head. You know, we have to save our young Black boys. We can't just look away from the situation. You know, we have to actually engage these young Black men. We have to bring them up by the scruff of the neck or by the shoulder or by the hand, and we have to lead them into the right path. You know, because they're not going to grow themselves up by themselves. We have to actually get them. We have to actually grip our arms around them. We have to take them where we want to take them. Because really and truly, they're screaming for leadership. They're screaming for attention. They're screaming for help. They want to be led. One thing I've realized that people respond to leadership. If you don't give them any leadership, they're going to find someone who's going to lead them. And that's what these gang leaders and these gang members are doing. They're taking your young boys and they are leading them to the wrong things, mind you. They are leading them. We need to lead our young Black men in this region. I know everyone wants to talk about, oh no, we need to uplift the women, and that's fine. We can talk about women, all that, women's rights, blah, blah, that's fine, that's fine. I have no problem with the woman. I have no problem with the woman wanting to uplift herself and get herself better. But I think it's cowardice on our people's part for not taking our eye and putting it back on some of these young men who are really the problem. Because the women aren't the problem. They're the easy part. They can be shepherded, they can be led easily. They're agreeable. Our young men are disagreeable, and they need to have a different type of leadership pattern and mentality and style that's going to bring them into prosperity, because we can't go strong if the men aren't strong. We cannot grow strong as a people if only one part of the society is growing strong. And I think that could be said for every Caribbean country. Everyone's dealing with a young man problem. So why are we shifting our minds from young Black men and putting it on young women when they don't need the attention? Women are going to be fine. We take care of them anyway. Even some of those same ruffians who are on the street, they take care of the women, you know. They love their woman. They're going to take care of them the best way they could. But at the same time as well, we should not take our eye off of our young Black men. And I think that's the cowardice on our part. We want the easy way out. Easy way out. We want to do the easy thing. And the easy thing is to, hey, you know, let's talk about the women. Let's talk about something that's working. You don't study something that you already know. And that's what my cousin told me years ago when I was a young man growing up. He said, Yuri, don't be dumb. You don't study something that you know. You study things that you don't know. So at the end of the day, we shouldn't focus on things that is working. We need to focus on things that aren't working. And I think Jesus would love that, to be honest with you. He didn't come to save the saved. He came to save the sinner. He came to help the helpless, those who couldn't help themselves. So in that vein, you know, I think we need to get back to basics. And we need to get back to loving everybody in our islands. We need to get back to putting focus on men. As much as we put focus on women, we need to shift some of that focus and stop letting this conversation be corrupted with this oversaturation of women's advancement. We need to get back to actually helping young Black men, because those are the ones who are shooting and killing up one another in our streets. And those are ones who are, unfortunately, who are going to be leaders one day. Because you can imagine that while we have the stereotype of the young dreadlocked young guy sitting on the corner with his gun in his waist, and there are a whole lot of young men in between that who don't fit that actual stereotypical mold, who are just as psychopathic and just as sociopathic. Kim, are you coming back with us? Kim, are you there with us? Oh yeah, your mic's on though. Oh, you trying to test it out, Kim? Okay. Let me put you on mute there, Kim. Sorry. I put you on mute there, Kim. Sorry. You're gonna mute yourself when you're ready. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, man, don't take the easy way out. Take the hard way. Take the hard way. Get the young men in particular involved. You know, because they're not going to do it themselves. We have to do it as a society. We have to do it. We have to make sure that we get them and we lead them to where they need to be, because we can't be prosperous with only one section of the society actually working. We cannot be prosperous with only one section of the society actually being prosperous. We're not going to grow. We're going to continually be weak, and we're going to continually go downwards. You know, and we shouldn't beat our men up, because the world already beats them up. Okay, everyone knows that the dominant society is the white male. So why are we putting more pressure on our young Black men to perform at standards that we haven't even been given the tools to even reach halfway to where the white man has reached over the last, I would say, 100 years or so? Oh, Kim, you back with us? Oh, yeah, your mic's still muted though. Unmute your mic.
Any better?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. So, Kim, how's things going with you, man?
Chaotic. I think everything that could go wrong went wrong today.
Okay, your mic is still down a tad bit low.
Tad bit low. I'm not sure what's going on. Everything is shorting right now.
Okay.
Yeah, everything is shorting, and then Zoom crashed on me a few times.
Oh, okay.
Not responding to Zoom.
So Zoom crashed. Okay, okay.
Zoom crashed like a gazillion times.
We're glad to see you here with us, though. Okay, good, man. So, the wonderful Miss Kimberly Ramkalawan has finally joined us. She's gotten her technical issue sorted out. So, Kim, what's in the news today, man? What's happening on your end?
Well, today I was in Parliament. We had Parliament ongoing. They brought an act. They're trying to convert 2 of our regional corporations into boroughs, which is like town status here in Trinidad. And there was a lot of arguments about that. But before that, we have a questions and answers segment before we get into the bills and the acts of the day. So a lot of focus has been on our licensing division, because during the COVID pandemic, a lot of people were not able to renew their licenses and things like that. So the minister was giving answers as to why this was happening.
Okay. So it wasn't one of those marathon sessions like how they had the other night, was it, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. You guys went till 12 o'clock that night trying to get that firearms bill?
Yeah, for prisons officers.
Yeah, that's obscene, man. I don't know if I can concentrate that long. You know, I have ADHD. I can't concentrate that long on something like that.
But you have the option of getting up and going for tea and some, walkabout and things like that. But Parliament is usually freezing cold.
Okay, okay. One thing I wanted to ask you though, I just read on CN3, that's the name of it, CN3, that Keith Rowley, your prime minister, he wants to do a whole revitalization of San Fernando, man. How do you feel about that? Did you see that story?
Yeah, that's my city. That's where you see this background here.
Yeah.
What they've done with our city of San Fernando is not something that I like, because what we pride us, what I hold that I'm proud of being part of San Fernando is that it's a city that's on the coast. It's on the Gulf of Paria. It sits there. And growing up, there's a place called, there's a wharf. It's like a little bay, a little cove. And I was part of a report that they did studies for revitalizing of it and to make it an attractive waterfront area in our second city, San Fernando.
Mhm.
There were studies because you've got historic buildings down on that side and ensuring that it's restored and made a proper museum. You have like a boardwalk, you've got restaurants, but they've just bulldozed all the trees. They've made it into a concrete highway. They're putting government housing right next to the San Fernando Hospital. There's nothing beautiful about it. You've taken away what was sacred and pristine. I mean, where is the value for nature? And that's what I say to the plants. Whatever they've done with Skinner Park, yes, that's all well and good. It was quite a hefty sum of money. It comes in time for our Calypso Fiesta, which is a grand celebration on Saturday before Carnival, where you have all the Calypsonians coming and singing the songs the night before the Mardi Gras. So that's open just in time. I heard it came at a hefty sum, and the National Carnival Committee owes a lot of money to the city corporation. I don't envision them getting it back anytime soon.
So you're saying the hell with Raleigh's plan?
So his vision of what he thinks is San Fernando is not the former Prime Minister Patrick Manning.
Yeah.
He is from San Fernando, was from San Fernando, and so was his son. And I would have expected Brian Manning to probably say something a little more. But there was a lot of funding that actually went through, because I think IDB had even approved for the beautification of it, and I think the funds were redirected, of course.
Wow.
So yeah, when it comes to San Fernando, I love my city, but a lot needs to be done to take care of it and make it attractive to tourists. I mean, it's right where the water taxis come in from Port of Spain. So it's that area. It used to have trees. On evenings, you would see people taking a swim, even though it's not clean waters to go taking a swim, but it was a recreational area. Now it's just,
Sorry, Kim. Isn't San Fernando an industrial sector, an industrial side? So why would they want to beautify it if it's for the industry?
No, it's a service sector. Higher up and closer to Central, you've got the industries. But it is a service sector. But yes, why would you not want to beautify? We've got residential areas there. You want to build hotels, you want to build restaurants. We do not have that part of all leisure activities in San Fernando. If we want to do something interesting, most people usually venture outside of San Fernando to Port of Spain.
Yeah. Okay.
It was an area that people just go and throw a line in the evening or the morning. My dad is one of them. He grew up, he went to Naparima College, a boys' school, which is right behind where the wharf is. And his boy days were spent there, most people, the Cub Scouts is even there, Sea Scouts is there. They, the guys learn how to paddle a canoe. They do a lot of adventures there.
Okay. So Raleigh's plans are going to go for north.
I don't think it's more a political thing. He's ensuring that he's securing that
Because to me, when I read the story, it sounded like it came out of nowhere, because I don't think no one really was talking about that, were they? No one in the community was talking about beautifying San Fernando at this particular point in time.
Not at this point in time. I think it's only because he was invited by the San Fernando mayor to talk about the opening of the Skinner Park, Skinner Park, because they reopened a grandstand, and I'm not even sure if the field is up to par with being a football field, because we've got other, Jack Warner would have done quite a lot of work when it came to establishing football, FIFA approved football grounds. Skinner Park it goes down in history as producing some of our greatest footballers in the 1950s and stuff. There was a San Fernando football team with the Hurricanes that produced quite a good bit of players, and that people used to go Skinner Park to play football. As to whether it's going to be utilized that way, I'm not too sure.
Okay, that's fair enough. Speaking of Jack Warner, though, I see he's now made up with Kamala Prasad and Cesar.
I think he was invited. That event is a UNC fundraising event,
Mm,
and I think it was just for posing for pictures.
okay.
I'm
She
not
looks
putting
lovely,
hope
by
on
the way.
it, and I don't think she should even be.
No, he shouldn't, but especially since he's been going through all these investigations
Yeah,
now.
you're
Yeah,
gonna dirty your waters that way.
yeah.
It's not.
Why does Kamala Prasad keep shooting herself in the foot though? Yeah, because it seems as if she makes some real serious gaps sometimes. My first experience with her was when she lost that 2010 election, wasn't it right? When Raleigh first won,
She won.
and
She
I
won
think she was
2015. She lost.
2015, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
and she was the minister for the people. And she
Yeah.
fired herself like a month before the election, said she's not really having a vote. Man, my God, why would you fire yourself in the votes, miss? I
Um,
was dumb.
well, they called election and they lost. You
Yeah.
know, now people want the elections. They're not going to get that happening anytime soon.
But do you people have trust in Kamala Basad?
I think the people that are fighting against Kamala are, yeah, own people, and that she has her supporters, and those outside, obviously the PNM, it's like blame Kamala. Everything is Kamala's fault.
Yeah.
So she's become, a meme.
Oh boy. I'm drawing parallels between her and the situation they had in Grenada before Dicon Mitchell won, because I think they had Nazim Burke that ran against Dr. Keith Mitchell, and he got his clock clean, man. And you could tell about 2 months before the election. I'm not saying this is Kamala Basad, but that's all right. But I'm seeing parallels with this, right? You can tell about 2 months before the election that Keith Mitchell had his number, and Nazim Burke was just a straw man. He was clearly not campaigning, and he was clearly not standing up to Dr. Mitchell at all. He was clearly just not saying anything he wanted to do for Grenada. And you could tell it was a setup. You could tell it was a setup. You could tell he was set up. You could tell he was a straw man. I'm seeing that kind of vibe from Kamala Basad. I don't think she wants to, and I think this is a scam between her and Rowley. Now, you could take me, it may sound conspiratorial, but that's why I believe this is a scam between her and Rowley, where, something, Raleigh's telling her, stay in place. I'll make sure I'll clean up all the dirt that you and Jack Warner had when y'all was in power. That would never come to light, but you just keep running as the UNC leader and be my opposition so I could win every time. I believe this is a game. This is a con game.
Yeah, well, everybody believes, I think a lot of people think that way as well. It's like, oh, well, Kamala is comfortable where she is. So she's the reason why Rowley is still in power, and Rowley wants it that way. And it's like, okay, you continue to get your salary until retirement and let it be that way.
Yeah. Now, if the UNC want a chance, they should get rid of Kamala Basad. That's to be honest with you, because after she lost a second time, there was no reason for her to be back.
I think they think that the internal elections for the UNC is rigged, and she's keeping herself in power. The same thing goes for PNM. Rowley had elections too, and people were saying that Rowley ensured that he remained political leader. So they are keeping themselves where they are by remaining a political leader, even though they say they've gone through their party's their party's constitution and they've abided by that, and that's what the people want.
Yeah. Now I'm saying this from
have anyone else, they haven't primed for anyone else to, take on leadership.
Someone strong needs to stand up, Kim, because I've experienced this in the Bahamas myself, because we had two former prime ministers, Perry Glass and Christine Hubert Ingham. They were good friends. They were godparents of their kids. And one was on the PLP side, one was on the FNM side. They were on two opposing parties, but they were good friends going back years before, years. And you could tell after a while it was a con game. It was a scam. You could tell that it doesn't matter which one of those guys won, that we were getting the same thing over and over again. You could tell it was a scam. I felt stupid that I was duped that long into believing that they were two different people. I felt stupid.
That's Ingraham and Christie.
Yeah, that's Ingram and Christie. Yeah, I felt stupid that I was conned that good.
I never saw Brave as being the strong one to come up behind, because I always saw him as being perhaps one part of the team, as you say, with Christie.
Yeah. But don't forget now about our current Prime Minister Philip Davis. He was a law partner with those two men too, and they were law partners as well. And we fell for we were so stupid. They were law partners. The law firm was named Christie Ingram and Co. And after a while, it was named Christie Ingram and Davis. And we were so stupid. We were so stupid. Why would we believe that those two friends, the godparents of their kids, law
And that's
partners?
why you all swapped Christy for minister doctor.
Yeah, yeah. Because we wanted to break from that. We wanted to break from that past. And that was the sentiment going to that election. We wanted to break from that past. We wanted to get away from all of that stuff. But I promise not to talk about politics on this podcast, on at least Bahamian politics. And I want to keep that tradition because it's not worth it. It'll drive you crazy, man. That's like how Kamala Bassan and Keith Raleigh will drive you guys crazy. It'll drive you nuts. It'll drive you insane. Let's talk about the issues. I already talked about drinking rum on this podcast, right? And
It's Friday night and it's coming up to Carnival, so everyone has rum punch on their minds.
Yes.
Something.
Everyone's pretty light, huh? That's good. I can imagine you guys having fun this year, aren't you?
I mean, yeah, for the last 2 years, we just imagine Carnival. You put on your old calypso tunes and sip, your beverage and make it merry at home.
Yeah.
A lot of people had what I think Farmer Nappy said, your backyard fete, Everybody was having some kind of backyard party to celebrate Carnival. They had their underground juve in some locations, and police, Gary Griffith was in office at the time, and Gary Griffith had to run them. So everyone is free, but the prices are really hefty. We have Panorama last night. We had the King and Queens prelims. That's the large costumes that you see, parading on the stage, and they do a performance. One of my friends actually performed last night. He's my makeup artist for television. So he usually competes, but he usually competes at the San Fernando level and then moves up to Port of Spain. But I think we haven't really had much of the San Fernando festivities in Carnival so much, at least not to my knowledge. Because usually we have a San Fernando leg with the National Carnival Commission, and then everyone moves up from that to Port of Spain, the entire.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, speaking of your festivals, we had our festival last night. Our Junior Junkanoo was last night as well, too.
Yeah.
Our Junior Junkanoo was last night. I'm trying to find who won. The results may not be official yet, but let me see if I can pull up the results. Yeah, we started doing it for the kiddies about 15 years ago, and the kiddies love it, man. And actually today, I went to our Junkanoo World Museum today. I have some pictures on my WhatsApp. I'll probably share them on the Facebook page later on, so you guys can see. So we have a Junkanoo Museum as well, and we have pictures from all over the world with our Junkanoo groups. They went performed everywhere from the United Kingdom to Atlanta, Georgia, to Florida, to Washington D.C., and even Finland. I think it's a good experience to know that your culture is really being loved and appreciated and respected around the world. And so, yeah, our kiddies, they had their time last night, and let me go to a page. Yeah, sorry, Kim. So the Panorama, right? I wish I was there with you guys, though, honestly, so I can have a good time. So I have a lime time with you guys.
You're not going to sleep. You're just going to be liming all night. So next week, Wednesday, is the semifinals, because next week you'll be having a lot of events. And Saturday is the Panorama, Sunday is the March Gras. On Saturday morning, I think we have the Kiddies Carnival. And so the kiddies get to dress up in their costumes, and they parade the streets of Port of Spain.
I wish I was there. I so wish I was there. I can't find the results for the Junior Junkanoo, man.
So Carnival here is much more than the Carnival Monday and Tuesday, where you see the bikini and beads. We've got the culture, we've got festivities happening throughout the country.
One question: Does crime spike around the time of a carnival, or everyone's pretty much laid back and having fun?
No, I see in trends. I think crime usually goes up prior to Christmas into Carnival. After Carnival, you probably might see things dwindle a little bit, but that's dependent on all the fetes. People want to go to all the high-profile fetes that Marshall is having, so they want to spend the big money, and I think that's what probably encourages the crime. That's
Okay.
that's my opinion.
Okay.
And but since things have changed with the way with COVID, and things have gotten harder financially. People lost their jobs. People don't, have a source of income. The crime has spiked.
Mhm.
I mean, we just passed down on the cross San Fernando tonight to pick up dinner,
Mhm.
and we were approached by people looking normal, and they're asking for money. They look better dressed
Wow.
than my husband and I, and why are they asking for money?
Mhm.
So
Some Kim, I give it
that's
to
what I'm
them.
thinking about.
Kim, I give it to the man. I if it brings an adult person, especially someone who you could tell that they aren't on drugs, they aren't mentally unstable. It takes a lot of courage for them to come and ask somebody for $1 or $5.
Yeah,
So I give it to the man. I mean, it's not gonna hurt me. I work, I get a salary every month.
yeah. With crime though, I don't, as a female, I do not keep cash. We do not, we limit the cash that we have.
Hmm.
Usually, swipe a links card. Even on the cross, some places they have the tap and cash,
Mhm.
that platform with Republic Bank to get payments. Some places even have their links machines, so you can swipe your cards, and that's what makes it, cashless. You want to move around with little to none
That's cash.
in Trinidad.
So are your banks cashless in Trinidad as well? Because we have this thing in the Bahamas where some of these banks are cashless. You can't cash a check, you can't get money.
No, we haven't graduated to that yet. Last week, I think Central Bank gave a permission to TSCT and a company called PESH.
Hmm.
And we're trying to figure out who is PESH, because that's
Yeah.
our first cashless thing. I think TSCT is going to take cashless payments for their bills. That's our mobile provider here in Trinidad.
Okay.
We're yet to understand, and we're trying to figure that out.
It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough when you guys get to that stage, man, because we're dealing with that right now. I had a check last year, December. I wanted to get some. I couldn't get the money off the damn account. I could not cash a check and get money from a bank. I could not go to a bank and get money from a bank. So I had to go to another branch that was halfway across town to get that check cash and go back to another bank to deposit that. And to be honest with you, we're coming to a point now where some of the banks don't even want to take the money from you. So what kind of place are we running here? You can't get money from a bank and you can't put money in the bank. What are we doing here, man? So I'll tell you something right now. My coconut tart man called me this afternoon, and he has no intention of getting a card reader or getting any kind of digital wallet. He wants money in his hand. And I'm happy to give him money for my coconut tart. He does not want a card reader. He does not want any digital wallet. My tart man is not going to take any. You can see any fools like that, Kim. You go to the tart, you go to the doubles man and say, here, take my credit card. You can't go to the doubles man and say, here, take my credit card. He don't want no credit card from you. So what are we doing here? What are we doing? You trust me, you don't want to get, y'all guys do not want to get to learn from our mistakes. You guys don't want to get to that point where they start talking about cashless banks. Just trust me, it's going to be very vexatious to you. You're going to be pissed off a lot of days where you can't do business. I'll tell you that.
I'm seeing it's 10:30, so I don't know what's your allocation there for time and Zoom here. But we're far away from that here in Trinidad, at least when it comes to going cashless. Trinis like their money.
Yes.
Trinis want to feel the moolah in their hands.
That sounds like my grandfather.
Or hold it under their mattress in their house, under their bed.
I know. It sounds like my grandfather. My grandfather, he was a liquor merchant, and he said that he liked to feel the money in his pocket. He liked to reach in his pocket and feel the money in his pocket. I said, Grandpa, man, you can't be serious, man. I said, yeah, I like to feel it in my pocket. Jesus, creepers, he was greedy. He was greedy, man. But I just found the results now. Oh, we going over a minute over. Okay, let's talk about these results before we close off here, Kim. So the results for the junior junk canoe in the Bahamas on Bay Street in the Bahamas, there were 13 schools that participated. I'm reading a report now from the Tribune newspaper. They had 13 schools that participated, and the preschool division, Just Kids Preschool won first place, and 2x2 Academy won second place. One-on-one preschool took first place. Just Kids Preschool took second place, and 2x2 Academy won third place. You just see them perform. You just see little darlings performing when they come out there and they costume like little cowbells and drums. They're so precious. In the primary school division, we had Centerville Primary that won first place, and Marjorie Davis Primary that took second place, and one-on-one primary that took third place. So one-on-one primary, they're serious about that jumping. They won the preschool division. They won third place in the primary school division. Okay, for the senior high school, the CV Bethel High School took first place. Discovery Learning Center and Jordan Prince William High School was second, and Atlantic College was third. Okay, congrats to all those young kids that are taking our culture seriously, man. I can imagine they had a wonderful time at even, man.
What's
So,
the
okay.
number of participants though? Oh,
Pardon?
you give an average of what's the total of participants?
There's about 13 groups altogether.
Like number of children. So it's
The report didn't have that actually. But it's not much, probably about no more than about 60, 70 kids per school, if that.
oh well, if it's 60 to 70 students, well, that's a good bit.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
they're becoming more organized too. You know. You'll enjoy our festival, man, because you'll get a kick out of seeing those kids perform for themselves, man. Especially the younger, the preschool ones. Oh, they make you want to cry how cute they look. But Kim, we're coming up at the end here, man. So you have any final thoughts?
I am just sorry that I could not join in early. I know we had a lot of topics to discuss, and I missed out on what you were talking about. I heard bits and pieces in between while my computer crashed with Zoom.
Yeah. Don't worry, I was just ranting, man. I was just venting. You know, that's
So they got a full show of Yuri venting.
yes. Stomach full. I hope I didn't piss anybody, and I didn't use any profanity as well. I didn't use any swear words either. So I was very good tonight. I was very good. So Kim, thank you for coming on late. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. This is the LimeVibe podcast here with Yori Araman Camp and the wonderful Kimberly Ramkalawan. So we're signing off again tonight from the LimeVibe podcast. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night. Enjoy your weekend.